come up in the world, being the master
We
president.
want to welcome everybody today to the event, Thomas Nelson grave marking, and I want to grab everybody's attention so that we can make an announcement. The National SAR Color Guard Commander is Lou Rayborg. The Color Guard Commander, please advance the colors.
Present colors.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the fifes and drums of Yorktown. Let's give them a round of applause. Good morning, my name is Larry McKinley, and it is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the SAR, Virginia SAR, to this annual ceremony honoring and perpetuating the memory of General Thomas Nelson Jr., signer of the Declaration of Independence, Governor of Virginia, and General and Commander-in-Chief of the Virginia military. The invocation will be given by Virginia SAR Chaplain, Reverend Dr. Eugene Thomas.
Beloved, let us pray as we gather, O God, for this dedication today. We ask your blessings upon each of us. We thank you for this occasion as we honor the memory of Thomas Nelson Jr. We esteem his patriotism and courage, his faith and loyalty, his willingness to sacrifice to make our world a better place. We thank you, too, for America and all the patriots who have given us the liberties and privileges we enjoy. May we be willing to serve you and our nation even as Thomas Nelson did. May the ideals that we remember from the past sustain us today and safeguard us for tomorrow. Amen.
The Virginia SAR Yorktown Day Commemoration Committee Chairman Gary Hodges will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All citizens of the United States, please join me in pledging allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Color Guard Commander, please post the colors.
Color guard. Shoulder, arms. Post colors. Right face.
Virginia SAR First Vice President Bruce Meyer will lead us in the SAR Pledge.
Please join me in the SAR Pledge. We, the descendants of the heroes of the American Revolution, who by their sacrifices established the United States of America, reaffirm our faith in the principles of liberty and our constitutional republic, and solemnly swear pledge ourselves to defend them against every foe.
We extend a cordial welcome to everyone and wish to recognize a few of our most distinguished guests. We are pleased to have with us the Virginia SAR President, Jeff Thomas. We have the National Sons of the American Revolution Chancellor General Mike Elston. And we have the Vice President General Mid-Atlantic District, Troy Foxwell. You can hold the applause on this next group because they're past presidents of the Virginia Society, the SAR. I'll skip my name. Joe Dooley, Mark Brennan, Sr., Dr. Henry P. Williams, Phil Williams III, Michael J. Elston, Patrick M. Kelly, Peter Davenport, and Bill Schwecke. Let's give them applause. The National Society Children of the American Revolution, the National President, Jacob Schattinger, and Honorary Senior National President, Lois Schmidt. The Virginia Daughters of the American Revolution, State Regent, Leanne Turbyfield. And the Virginia Society Children of the American Revolution, State First Vice President, Will Elston, and Senior State President, Stacy Wojciechowski. And we have 6 descendants of Thomas Nelson Jr. Thomas Page Nelson Jr., Ann Page, Thomas Page Nelson III, Thomas Page Nelson IV, Alexandra Nelson, and Susie Dewing. You give them an applause. Now, welcome to you all, and thank you for joining us. Now it is my sincere pleasure to introduce your host today, the 101st President of the Virginia Sons of the American Revolution, Jeff Thomas. Jeff Thomas's bio reads, Jeff is the 101st President of the Virginia Society, Sons of the American Revolution. He is currently chairman of the National Society History Committee and serves on the SAR Museum Board and George Washington Endowment Fund Board. His patriot ancestor, David Baker, is from Culpeper County and served in the 3rd Virginia Continental Line from 1776 to 1778. Jeff Thomas is a member of the Virginia CAR Senior State Board, thank you, and is chair of the CAR SAR Relations Committee. His son Justin is 2nd Vice President of the Virginia CAR and President of the Colonel William Grayson CAR Society. Jeff and his wife Linda have resided in Fairfax County since their wedding 19 years ago today. Happy anniversary.
Good morning. So good to see all of you here today. It is my honor to bring greetings on behalf of the Virginia Sons of the American Revolution, our 29 chapters and over 2,200 members. Thank you all for being here as we commemorate the 240th anniversary of our great victory at Yorktown. And what a beautiful day, right? What a glorious day as we celebrate the success we achieved here after 6 long years of sacrifice and struggle for our independence. No one exemplified that sacrifice more than the man we pay tribute to today, a fervent patriot who truly gave all for liberty. General Thomas Nelson Jr., a signer of the Declaration of Independence, who was Virginia governor and commander of the Virginia militia during the Siege of Yorktown. Nelson introduced the resolution for independence at the Virginia Constitutional Convention in 1776. So in Yorktown, the vote for independence was born, and in Yorktown, the war for independence was won. It truly all began and ended here. I was here yesterday afternoon and had the opportunity to walk the streets of Yorktown. It was a beautiful day, much like today. Sun shining on my face as I walked down Main Street, past the Nelson House, down to the Yorktown Victory Monument. And I gazed up at the figure of victory at the top of that monument, standing atop the column with a base of 13 maidens in a union representing the 13 states, standing above the words, one country, one constitution, one destiny. I think those words symbolize exactly what the victory here at Yorktown meant for our nation. So today, we reaffirm our faith in the principles of liberty in our constitutional republic because of men like Thomas Nelson Jr., heroes of the American Revolution, who by their sacrifices established these United States of America. Let us this day remember our obligations to those who came before us, who gave us this nation built upon a foundation of freedom.
Now, it is a great privilege to introduce Chancellor General of the Sons of the American Revolution, Michael L. Elston, a native son of the Virginia SAR. Let me read a little bit about Mike Nelson. Gee, Merry Christmas. Mike Elston, yes.
So there's six.
They were close,
seven
right?
of them today.
Compatriot Mike Elston has served for many years at the national level as member and chairman of multiple committees, and is currently serving on the executive committee and was elected to the Chancellor General position in 2021. The Chancellor General serves as legal advisor to the National Society. Compatriot Elston is a member of the George Washington chapter, Virginia SAR, where he has served as secretary, treasurer, vice president, and president. He has served the Virginia Society as chancellor, vice president, president, alternate trustee, and trustee. I don't think there's any more jobs. He served as Vice President General of the International District from 2015 to 2016, and as a director of the SAR Foundation from 2015 to 2021. Prior to his election as Chancellor General, he served as chairman of the 2021 Special Congress, Bylaws, King's College London Partnership, Knight Essay, and Young Members Committees. No, it is not. Because compatriot Elston and his wife Julie have two children, and I've worked with them both, Emily and Will, who are active leaders in the national and state children of the American Revolution, CAR organizations. Michael served as Virginia's first male CAR senior state president and is currently a senior national honorary vice president on the national level. He has also served on the vestry and as senior warden of Historic Episcopal Church in Northern Virginia. So the Chancellor General is a graduate of Drake University and Duke University School of Law. After law school, he served as a law clerk on the Honorable Pasco M. Bowman II, U.S. Circuit Judge for the 8th Circuit. A former federal prosecutor, compatriot Elston is a recipient of the U.S. Department of Justice's John Marshall Award for Outstanding Professional Achievement, and he's continued to public service as an attorney with the U.S. Postal Service since 2010. Please welcome the Chancellor General of the SAR, Michael Elston.
Good morning. It's my honor to bring greetings on behalf of Davis Wright, the President General of the Sons of the American Revolution. He regrets that a work issue prevented him from being here with us. But as one of the clever SAR members here today quipped, you've just exchanged one lawyer for another, as Davis is also a lawyer. The President General this year is focused on getting the SAR ready for the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary Era. As Vice President General Foxwell would tell you, it is 1,719 days to July 4th, 2026. But I'll tell you that it's only 788 days until December 16th, 2023, the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. It is therefore urgent that we all turn our attention to our plans for the 250th anniversary and to reorient our organizations to more public-facing events. I sincerely hope that this is the last Yorktown Victory Day where it's just us and our Lineage Society friends. What does this have to do with Thomas Nelson Jr.? Everything. With his country in crisis and enemy soldiers on its soil, he was willing to sacrifice his health, his wealth, and even his town, Yorktown. Today our country faces different crises, and there are some who no longer are proud of the work of the Founding Fathers. I believe they are but a loud minority. While we must accept that they were human and that, like us, they made mistakes and had flaws, we need not accept that their human frailties require us to reject their monumental achievements or the incredible legacy of liberty, freedom, and self-government that they gave us. Indeed, we must always honor them for that. While you need not sacrifice what Governor Nelson sacrificed, there is clearly work to be done in our time and in this place. So in the spirit of Governor Nelson, let me leave you with a couple of challenges. What will you sacrifice to ensure that the work of the founding generation endures? What will you do in the months and years ahead to honor the women and men who established the United States of America? Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor General. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Virginia SAR President Jeff Thomas, who will share some remarks about Governor Thomas Nelson Jr., who was a signer of the Declaration of Independence, Governor of Virginia, and Brigadier General of the Virginia Militia, defeating Cornwallis at Yorktown on October 19, 1781.
On Capitol Square in Richmond stands the Washington Equestrian Monument, an imposing bronze statue of Washington on horseback in full military uniform. 6 additional statues are displayed below Washington around the base of that monument, all of whom had a role in the Revolutionary War. Among them is Thomas Nelson Jr., along with Patrick Henry, Thomas Jefferson, John Marshall, George Mason, and Andrew Lewis. Pretty illustrious company. And I think this is testament to the stature and high regard in which Thomas Nelson Jr. is held for his role in Virginia during the American Revolution. It also speaks to the special relationship I think that Thomas Nelson Jr. had with General George Washington. In fact, Washington's favorite war horse, the one that carried him almost always during the war, perhaps the one that is represented in that monument, was a magnificent chestnut mount named Nelson, after the man who gifted that splendid charger to him. Nelson was a lifelong resident of Yorktown. He was born into an extremely wealthy merchant family here in 1738. His father, William, was colonial governor of Virginia in 1770 and 71, and his mother was the daughter of Robert King Carter. He was educated at Cambridge, elected to the House of Burgesses at only age 23 upon his return from England, representing York County in that body for a dozen years until 1774. In May of that year, Nelson was one of 89 burgesses who convened at the Raleigh Tavern to call for an independent Virginia convention. Shortly thereafter, Nelson would warn the citizens in York County that we must make those who are endeavoring to oppress us feel the effect of their mistaken arbitrary policy, for not until then can we expect them to have justice from them. Later that year, the aptly named ship Virginia arrived at Yorktown carrying 2 small chests of imported tea. Thomas Nelson Jr. led a group which boarded that ship and dumped the banned tea overboard in an action which became known as the Yorktown Tea Party. Nelson led resolutions which condemned the brazen conduct of the merchants as a daring insult upon the people of this colony. In March of 1775, he supported Patrick Henry's resolutions for establishing a state militia by declaring that if any British troops should be landed within his county, he would summon his militia and repel the invaders at water's edge. After Henry's resolutions narrowly passed, Nelson would help create the Virginia militia, assuming the duty of its first commander. Nelson would help create, again, serving as Brigadier General of the Virginia forces in 1777, in 1778, and finally as commander of the Virginia militia during 1781. Nelson's commitment to the Revolutionary War was total. Military, legislative, executive, and financial. This commitment would take a terrible toll on his health and his fortune during the war. During the war, Nelson would serve as delegate to the first 5 Virginia Revolutionary Conventions. He would represent York County in the House of Delegates throughout the war, served in the Continental Congress between 75 and 77, and again in 1779, and served as Virginia's wartime governor from June to November of 1781 during the Siege of Yorktown. In mid-1775, he would replace his friend George Washington in the Second Continental Congress when he left to assume command of the Continental Army. He returned to Virginia in May of 1776, playing that key role in its constitutional convention. During that convention in Williamsburg, he introduced and won approval for a resolution recommending national independence. He carried it back to Philadelphia, where he presented it to Richard Henry Lee, who introduced the resolution for independence in Congress on June 7th. Nelson would become 7 signers of the Declaration from Virginia. In addition to declaring our independence, the Lee resolution called for a plan of confederation to be prepared, and Nelson was one of 13 committee members appointed to draft the Articles of Confederation, our nation's first constitution and form of government. Virginia would become the first state to ratify the Articles the following year. In the spring of 1778, in response to an appeal from Congress, Nelson raised, outfitted, and trained a cavalry regiment, which he marched to Philadelphia in the summer. And from there, he sent Washington the finest horse in the regiment, the one that Washington would name Nelson. Washington wrote to Nelson, "My dear sir, in what terms can I sufficiently thank you for your agreeable present? With what propriety can I deprive you of such a valuable and favorite horse? I accept him as a gift, as proof of my sincere attachment to and friendship for you, with assurance that I would only do this for a gentleman for whom I have the highest regard." Washington would not be reunited with his friend Nelson until Yorktown in the fall of 1781. Nelson succeeded Jefferson as governor in June of that year, seizing the reins to serve the state during its deepest period of crisis. He served as both civil governor and commander-in-chief of the Virginia militia. In October he led 3,000 Virginia militiamen, roughly 1/3 of all American forces, as part of Washington's army besieging Yorktown. It was said that he ordered the artillery to fire upon his own house, believing it to be occupied by British forces. I saw yesterday the cannonballs that are still lodged in the house to this day in the outer brick wall. Nelson was an ardent patriot who gave all to the war, sacrificing his health, his business, and his fortune. It must have given him great satisfaction that his efforts contributed to a decisive victory here on his doorstep in Yorktown. On the day that Cornwallis surrendered, Washington chose to ride his war horse Nelson to the surrender field. Shortly after the victory of Yorktown, Nelson the man resigned as governor due to poor health, having served only 5 months. He retired to a modest estate in Hanover County where his son lived. In financial distress from his wartime sacrifices, Nelson simply lacked the money to renovate his war-damaged Yorktown home. He was owed over $2 million for his loans to help finance the French fleet and their aid to the war effort. He was never repaid. Once, after the war, when asked if his treatment was worth it, Nelson replied simply that he would do it all over again. That's the man he was. Like his namesake, Nelson the horse was no longer ridden after the war, but lived out his days at the stable and paddock at the Mansion House Farm at Mount Vernon. It was reported that when Washington would walk the grounds of the estate, he would stop at Nelson's paddock where the old war horse would run, neighing to the fence, proud to be harassed by the great master's hands. Nelson the man would return to represent York County in the House of Delegates between 1786 and 1788 during the ratification debate on the U.S. Constitution. Washington would write Nelson in September 1787 advocating for the Constitution, and again in August 1788 after its ratification, closing that Mrs. Washington unites with me in every good wish for Mrs. Nelson, yourself, and family, and with sentiments of the highest esteem and friendship. The following year, Nelson died an early death at the age of 50. He was originally buried in an unmarked grave so that his creditors could not hold his body for collateral. Washington's horse Nelson would die at Mount Vernon a year after his namesake at the very advanced age of 27 years old. Thomas Nelson Jr. of Virginia gave his health and his fortune to further the cause of American independence. He surely fulfilled the commitment he and his fellow signers made when they pledged our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. This was truly a man who gave all so that we can live in this nation of liberty that we have today. As you present your wreaths this morning at the grave of Thomas Nelson Jr. and pay your respects, take a brief moment to reflect upon the inscription engraved upon his tomb. General Thomas Nelson Jr., patriot, soldier, Christian gentleman, mover of the resolution of May 15, 1776 in the Virginia Convention, instructing her delegates in Congress to move that body to declare the colonies free and independent states. Signer of the Declaration of Independence, war governor of Virginia, commander of Virginia's forces. He gave all for liberty. Thank you.
Well done, President Jeff. Each year, and you picked a beautiful day to do it, each year I find out something new about Thomas Nelson. And I'm glad to learn a good amount of what you have given us. So thank you again for that. Now it is time for the graveside wreaths. I'll make the announcement of the first group because they already have their wreaths, okay? But other wreaths have been pre-positioned. So you'll just politely come up and do a salute, and as Jeff had mentioned, take a gander at the inscription on his tomb. We'll start out with the Virginia Society, Sons of the American Revolution, Jeffrey D. Thomas, State President. National Society, Sons of the American Revolution, Mike Elston, Chancellor General, Lou Rayborg, NSSAR Color Guard Commander, Escort. National Society, Children of the American Revolution, Jacob Schattinger, National President. Lois W. Schmidt, Honorary Senior National President. Virginia Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, Leanne Turbyfill, State Regent, John Turbyfill, Escort. Virginia Society, Children of the American Revolution, Will Elston, First Vice President, Stacy Wachikowski, Senior State President. The Page Nelson Society of Virginia, Thomas Page Nelson Jr., President, Ann Page, Treasurer, Thomas Page Nelson III, Thomas Page Nelson IV, Alexandra Nelson. The French Society, Patrick Kelly. The Virginia Society SAR chapters follow. Thomas Nelson Jr. Chapter, Gary O. Hodges, President. Colonel James Wood II, Chapter, Dale Corey, Past President. Culpeper Minutemen Chapter, Charles Jameson, President. Fairfax Resolves Chapter, David E. Cook, President. George Mason Chapter, Kenneth Morris, President. George Washington Chapter, Ernie Coggins, past president. Norfolk Chapter, Gary P. Pridgeon, president. Patrick Henry Chapter, Mark Day, president. Richard Henry Lee Chapter, James F. Russell II, first vice president. Thomas Jefferson Chapter, David Cook, president. Dr. Phil Williams, escort. Williamsburg Chapter, Roger W. Cross, president. The Kentucky Society, Sons of the American Revolution, Larry M. Leslie, MD, State Surgeon, past president. The Kentucky Society SAR Chapters, Big Sandy Chapter, Dr. Larry M. Leslie, President Emeritus. Ohio Society, Sons of the American Revolution, William R. Hall, State Color Guard Commander, Thomas Hankins, escort. Texas Society, Sons of the American Revolution, Major K. M. Van Zandt, Chapter, J. Van Cunningham, President. The Virginia Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, District 1, Donna Crisp, Vice Director. Virginia Society DAR chapters, Cobb's Hall chapter, Cheryl Brown Davis, parliamentarian. And Wagner chapter, Kathy Coomer, board librarian. Comte de Grasse chapter, Susie Dewing, secretary. Lanes Mill chapter, Anita Bonner, representative. North Carolina DAR chapters, Colonel Frederick Hambright chapter, Joyce Forrest. The Virginia Society CAR chapters, Light Horse Harry Lee chapter, Isaac Bodge, President, Christy Bodge, escort. Morehouse Society chapter, Brendan Gay, Vice President, Tony Gay, Senior President, Luke Metternach, escort. The United States Navy, Naval Weapons Station, Yorktown, Christopher D. Farrar, Command Master Chief Petty Officer. National Society Order of Founders and Patriots of America, Dr. Daniel C. Warren, past President General. National Society Daughters of American Colonists, Melanie K. Platt, President, Pamela Reed Maring, Virginia State Region. National Society Children of American Colonists, Thomas Missiano, National President, Kren Missiano, Chaplain General. National Society Children of 1812, Cynthia Masumoto, Senior President General, Thomas Missiano, Vice President General. U.S. Daughters of 1812, James Monroe Chapter, Dr. Cheryl B. Davis, Chapter President. National Society Colonial Dames of the 17th century, the Reverend James Blair Chapter, Nancy E. O'Riordan, Chapter President. I believe I have a few walk-ons. Virginia Society Order of Founders and Patriots of America, Mike Weiler, Governor. The Hocking Valley Chapter, under the Ohio Society Sons of the American Revolution, Tom Hankins, President. Presenting, sorry. And under the DAR, Virginia Montpelier Chapter, Jennifer Kelly, First Vice Regent. Now, Patrick, I have here the French Society and Jim Kelly. Is that correct?
Pat Kelly, French.
Yeah, okay, they wrote down Jim. Okay. Virginia Society, the Order of Founders and Patriots, I've already got that. So is there anybody that I missed or other on-site presentations to be made? Okay. Color Guard Commander. Retire the colors.
Color guard. Shoulder arm. Forward. March. Color guard. Halt. Right space. Retrieve color. Left face. Forward. March.
That was a fine display. Thank you very much, Color Guard. The SAR recessional will be led by Virginia SAR Second Vice President, Ernie Coggins.
Join me, please. Until we meet again, let us remember our obligations to our forefathers who gave us our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, an independent Supreme Court, and a nation of free men.
The benediction will be offered by Virginia SAR Chaplain, Reverend Dr. Eugene Thomas.
Let us pray. Almighty God, as we go from here, may this marker remind us of all who passed today, of the devotion and dedication of all who've made our nation great. May all be humbled and encouraged by this time together, by this presentation of wreaths, to esteem and perpetuate these virtues in our lives. May the peace of God, which surpasses all, guard our hearts and minds in the ties of friendship and unity of love. Amen.
This concludes the ceremony. That was a heck of a boom over there. This concludes the ceremony, but I want to thank each and every individual here because you have made it one of the best events that we've had here at Yorktown. So thank you very much for participating in this ceremony.